Hey, everyone. I'm trying to get this meeting set up. So we're working through some of the, hey, Chief.
Good evening.
Yes, okay, now it's working. Great. And
Hey, Julie. I think we have, oh, it's still not, it's not 6:30.
see how this is working now.
I talked that it's not gonna swivel, right?
Yeah, not yet. I'm still trying to get it to, we can move it over a little bit.
I mean, I don't have to be on camera, it's not.
Here, you sit
It's just,
here.
should. Move it out.
How's that?
Doesn't,
Eventually, it's supposed to pick it up.
sorry, you guys are watching us do some tech work here still. Maybe just a few other people.
Yeah, there we go. It's one of the issues.
Like 6 o'clock. There we go.
Okay. All right, I think we got it.
We're right under the wire.
We are, Dan and I are here because we're trying to work out some of the bugs for when we eventually go back to being in person. So thank you. And we did it. I need a pen and we can
So right.
start. And so we are live streaming and the recording. Make sure we have everything here. All right. Sorry, we're running late. So I'd like to make a motion to call the Town Board as Police Commission meeting of March 17th, 2022 to order.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Like to make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
And does anyone have any announcements? Chief?
Thank you, Supervisor. I just a couple of quick announcements. The first is that there is an upcoming Narcan training being offered by the New Paltz Opioid Overdose Prevention and Response Team. Friday, March 25th. It'll be from 1 to 2 p.m. It's a virtual training. Anybody that's interested can register at the Opioid Prevention NP website. And all those that attend will receive a kit and a drug destruction pouch upon completion. And also for everyone to save the date for April 9th for the Easter egg hunt on Huguenot Street. The Easter egg hunt will be from 12 to 3. I think it kicks off at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on April 9th. And then also April 9th and 10th, there'll be the Easter stone scavenger hunt at Hasbrook Park. And there's no sign up required for either of those.
If you don't mind, Chief, did you say stone scavenger hunt?
Yeah, so that was something that they added last year, where you can go and it's a scavenger hunt at Hasbrook Park. You complete a sheet and you turn it into the at the youth center for prizes from there. So it's something that both we work with Jim in the youth program on the Easter egg hunt, and then the stone scavenger hunt was something that they came up with last year, and is well received. So they're doing both of those again this year.
All right. And so just as we're working this out, can you guys hear us okay? How is the volume?
Great.
Great.
Awesome.
Trying to get this up and running. So with that, I would like to open it up for public input. If you'd like to make a comment, raise your Zoom hand. Try to keep it to 3 minutes. And Edgar, you would like to make a comment?
You're muted, Edgar. Just wait 1 second. There you go. You should be good now.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
So the clock starts now. Edgar Rodriguez, 50-year resident of New Paltz. Yesterday, at the police chief's monthly conversation with New Paltz police and the public, we heard the clarion voices of a group impacted by the New Paltz police, which has been missing for the last 2 years in all our police discussions. We heard from 2 adults in their late 20s who identified with the downtown Main Street people, who promised to return with more people to the next police conversation. They recounted their unwarranted detention, arrests, physical and verbal mistreatment by New Paltz police. They identified a former police perpetrator by name who is now training new police officers at the Ulster County Police Academy. This fact outraged this group because they claim that the New Paltz department knew about his behavior and that nothing was done and that he should not be training new officers. These voices have been missing from the town board, Police Reinvention and Reform Committee, Police Commission, conversations with police, and even with some of the groups that I am involved with. So I asked the town board to seek this group out, get their voices on the New Paltz Police Commission by appointing at least one person who has been impacted in a major way by our police in order to have a balance on the New Paltz Commission. Also, maybe the police chief in his report tonight can acknowledge what he heard yesterday morning at his meeting. Finally, I asked the town board if you received the recommendations for questions that will be put to the applicants to the police commission from my group, the New Paltz Police Coalition for Community Safety and Wellbeing, that was sent out, I think like Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Sure, Tom, go ahead.
Unmuting. Yeah, just following up on good evening, everybody. Sorry. Yeah, just following up on my comment from last month. I still was not able to find on the website, I think it belongs on the police commission page, the resolution that you passed last November, augmenting the law that was passed to recreate the Citizens Police Commission. It's an important document, and I would hope that you get it up there as soon as possible and certainly make it part of the recruitment process. I'm just going to read your own resolution. We, the members of the New Paltz Police Commission, are committed to empowering and enhancing the voices of residents in everyday policing affairs. We serve to bring an additional layer of citizen oversight on policing for the purposes of promoting anti-racism, transparency, accountability, and diversity to the department. We commit to conducting ourselves with the highest ethical standards to maintain public confidence and represent the voices of the residents of the town of New Paltz. I mean, you guys took the trouble to write this and to pass it. It should not be buried in the agenda and the minutes of November's meetings. It should be out full front stage and full, what is that, center stage? Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, thank you. Maggie, you have a comment?
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. I do. And I want to start by saying that the last couple of meetings of this commission has been very informative in relation to, the people who are interested in becoming a part of the commission. And I guess it's called the New Paltz Police Commission, right? So I think that start was a very good start. I really like the idea that it was publicly presented, that people had to publicly present themselves. So the public gets a chance to see who's interested in what the town board is interested in having as people who will serve in that capacity. And I understand that part of the next phase is to have probably continue some of the oral interviewing, but also there was a comment or an understanding that there would be then written comments or written questions presented that had to be responded to in writing to the people who would have been orally interviewed. And I think that it has a value, but I'm also concerned that it does limit the people who don't feel themselves very literate. I'm not, and so that I would think that it would be a good idea to not put that obstacle in the way of people who might be interested, but do not feel very comfortable with having to write answers to questions. And I think we're talking about some people who simply don't feel that writing is their strength, and it may be a weakness. I mean, I decided I'm not going to law school because I don't want to have to write briefs, so I'd like to add that as a comment, that maybe what you can do is give them an option of responding in writing or responding orally to your questions. And I'm not sure if I suspect it'd be a good idea to do that in public again, because that transparency does help the public and does help people who are curious, who's maybe drop in and fall out of the meetings, but that might encourage people to listen to something specific that's going to affect them. And I once again, I'm really concerned that the people who might apply won't want to do this because they're doing it in writing. Knowing that might happen in the future is a concern to me. Specifically, not everybody feels good about writing, and not everybody is as educated as some of us might be, or some of you might be, in relation to the ability to put their thoughts in writing per se. So that's a strong recommendation I have, because I'd like to include people who are not as well educated as some others that might be applying. Thank you.
Thanks, Maggie.
Any other comments? If not, I will say I am fine with anyone who wants to record themselves and send a recording in, and we can transcribe it for them, for the board, or the board can watch the recording. I don't know if the rest of the board's fine with that. When we say written, what we want is a record of their statements, so that we can all review it and compare them all at the same time.
And we're trying to create a uniform amongst
Yes.
all the applicants, so we're consistent and fair.
Trying to make it equitable, that everyone gets asked and is allowed to answer the same questions. So,
Thank you for the comment.
and with that, Essie, are you back here? I will, so we have some more police commission interviews to do, and Mr. Hill, I assume that you're here for the interviews. Essie, is it okay if I hand it over to you?
I believe we've been calling for people for police commission interviews at the regular town board meeting at 7 o'clock. So I think we should continue to do that. That's what we announced we would do.
We'll do that later on. And so Chief, I will hand it over to you for the review and forward to the town board approval for item number 2. You want to So let's see, so I guess this is review and forward to town board for approval, accepting the resignation of Officer Terrence Yant as a full-time police officer and approve his remaining as a part-time officer effective end of tour, March 20th, 2022. I don't know if you want to say anything, Chief, or if anyone has any questions or discussion about that before we vote on it. Go ahead, Chief. You're
You're
muted.
muted.
Yeah, make you a.
Can you hear
Okay.
me now? Okay, I wasn't able to unmute. I apologize. So in regard to this, yes, Officer Yanton, excuse me, has submitted a letter of resignation. He's looking to resign as a full-time police officer here to take a position in Croton as a full-time police officer there, effective March 21st. So this resignation for full-time would be effective end of tour on March 20th, and he would like to remain as a part-time police officer here with our agency. So I'm hoping that the board would approve, it would accept the resignation and approve keeping him on as a part-time police officer. Once he completes his probation down at Croton, then he would be available to us to cover shifts as all of the part-timers are.
All right. Motion to forward to the town board for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
I'll just say, sorry to see him go as a full-timer. How long was he a full-timer for?
I believe Terrence was with us almost 4 years as a full-timer, and then some time before that. It was just, again, in Westchester, they're able to pay more, and it's kind of the conversation we had. I think it's in previous meetings. The change in the New York State retirement system is impacting agencies in Ulster, Orange, and Dutchess counties. It limits the amount of overtime these officers can accrue that goes towards their retirement, and it's not unique to our agency. I've talked to my counterparts in all 3 counties, and they are seeing it as well. So yeah, I'm sorry to see him leave, but I'm happy that he's chosen to at least stay here with us part-time. And I think it's a 6-month or 7-month probation for them, and so then at that point he'd be able to resume taking shifts for us.
I hope you pass along, or I think
Yeah.
I can speak for others, but I hope you pass along our regrets to see him go as well too. He was one of the officers who I think consistently from members of the public got very good feedback on.
Yeah.
He's a local as well. So sorry to see that.
Yeah, no, he's been great. Yeah, we're gonna miss him.
Absolutely, I will convey that. Thank you.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Item number 3 is review recommendations of the NPPRRC. New Paltz Town Police Department should engage in the de-escalation model provided by Chuck Wexler and the Police Executive Research Forum. And I'll hand it over to you, Chief.
Thank you. So I'm not sure what is being referenced by the de-escalation model. The Police Executive Research Forum has issued a number of publications, and they are an incredible resource. One of in 2016, they released the Guiding Principles on Use of Force. And most of them, or many of them, are things that we have incorporated in terms of our use of force. And it talks about differentiating active violence versus non-active violence. And when we talk about active violence, we're talking about somebody who's actively engaged in violence that threatens another individual. So a person who's in their home that is barricaded and threatening to harm themselves, and there's no other person there, that's a violent, potentially a violent situation, but it's not considered an active or a active violence. And so our training is focused on that and teaching our officers to differentiate that. And when they can, doing that, and then when they've identified situations that are non-active we focus on distance and cover, and that allots for the officers to increases the time that they have to make better decisions. PERF has, and that's all relative to PERF's critical decision-making model. And so we have focused on that in our use of force practice in training and also in terms of our policy. And you know, really try to hammer that home even in most importantly in our reality-based training. This past November, we were lucky enough to get Lieutenant Butler into PERF's ICAT Train the Trainer for in November of last year. It was in Pennsylvania, and ICAT stands for Integrating Communications, Assessment, and Tactics, and it's anchored in the critical decision-making model, and it really combines the elements of critical incident training, or CIT, and tactics. And in speaking with Lieutenant, you know, he thought it was an incredible course. And Lieutenant Butler has attended a number of use of force trainings and thought that this was one of the best trainings that he had attended, in that it really combines those two elements well. We're going to be starting the formalized training of ICAT, introducing the classroom portion of that in April and May, and then we will integrate that in our firearms and reality-based training as we move forward. And again, that is all grounded in the idea that the first thing we want our officers to do when they respond to a call for service is, am I going into something that is active violence? If it is, well, then you have to take action. There is limited time. The time is compressed, and you have to make decisions. But most of the situations we deal with are not that. And in the 2016 guiding principles, they really were dealing with two situations in particular, those pertaining to mental health or mental illness and developmental disabilities, and individuals who were either unarmed or armed with something other than a firearm. And so that's been our focus in terms of our training curriculum and our lesson plans. You know, as I said, we've begun with the guiding principles, and now we will be formally introducing the elements of ICAT into our training.
Okay. And so the next item, number 4, is the review recommendations of the commission to saying that we support the increasing work being done in restorative justice practices, currently juvenile only, and laud the work of the DA to move to 18 to 26-year-olds. The commission recommends we encourage greater collaboration between the DA, the New Paltz Police Department, and programs like the 180 Initiative. So, Rob, if you'd like to address that.
So the restorative justice program in Ulster County started out as a juvenile program through the 180. Is a 180 program. It's a program that we have utilized in the past with juveniles. DA Clegg has looked to expand that to 18 to 26-year-olds. And so that a lot of that rests on the ADAs themselves. You know, if there's a case that we've identified that, you know, we think is applicable, we certainly convey that information to the ADAs, and then that is reviewed at the DA's level, and then ultimately they would decide whether or not that program would be diverted to a restorative justice. In speaking with the DA's office, you know, ADAs have been received some training, and they are actively looking at their caseloads to see what cases they can move and divert. And really a lot of that, I guess, starts with the victim themselves. If it's a serious case and or the victim is not in agreement with a diversion, then those are not necessarily cases they're going to be sending to a restorative justice. So, you know, they have a curriculum or a procedure that they use to review all cases that, you know, get sent to them. If there are cases or individuals that we encounter that we think would be best served, you know, we certainly make those recommendations, and we'll continue to do so.
Thanks. And get over to you, Chief, for the monthly report.
So in terms of the monthly report, just to start out, I want to start with like the detectives report, just to highlight in their investigative highlights. They note a robbery case that was handled on February 2nd. Officers responded for an unconscious subject on the sidewalk. They located an individual. After a brief discussion, they noted that the victim was, I'm sorry, this was the assault, that the victim had suffered fractured nose, fractured jaw, and the individual in that case was arrested. The second case that I wanted to highlight is the robbery case. There was officers who responded down to North Front Street for a medical emergency. Upon arrival, they found two females who were assaulted. They were able to determine that the course of their interviews with them determined that they had also been robbed. And our detectives responded to that scene, and through interviews and canvassing of the area, they were able to obtain evidence, video evidence, and other evidence, and to determine who the identity of the individuals involved. The case is still pending, but they do anticipate arrests, and they have reviewed the matter with the district attorney's office. I didn't know if there's any questions, in particular for the second, because I know that there was some question about that. We had received some calls about that publicly. Okay. I believe we have 6 commendations. The first commendation is for Officer Halstead. It was a card that he received thanking him for helping an individual get that car out of the mud. It was a card that was that accompanied some treats that were dropped off at the station as well. So Officer Halstead, as well as others, benefited from that one. So it was a nice job by Calvin. The second commendation is for Sergeant Fuco. It was from the family of a young lady that he had assisted and on a medical, and they just wanted to thank him for his actions and efforts in that. The next is a commendation for Officers Halstead and Fazio. This was a letter that I received for an incident that took place back on February 22nd. Officers Halstead and Fazio came upon a vehicle that was disabled on Shivertown Road, and assisted that operator in getting a tow, but also stayed with that individual and awaited, stayed with that vehicle, and the individual inside the vehicle set up flares so that the operator is able to remain safe until the tow could arrive. The person just wanted to thank them, thought they commend them on their thoughtfulness and their professionalism, noting that it may be a rather mundane occurrence, but wanted to show their appreciation and recognize them for their community mindedness and kindness. The next commendation is for Officers White and Yant, and for their assistance to the New Paltz Rescue Squad in their handling of a medical. This was a letter, a thank you or commendation letter written from New Paltz Rescue, and for a specific call, but just wanted to also thank in general the help that the officers provide on their scenes with the rescue squad, and that their assistance doesn't go unnoticed. This individual just noted that they have experience in dealing with medicals in other places, and that all officers are very good at what they do, and their assistance is definitely thanked, appreciated. The next letter of commendation is for Officer Bernhardson. It was thanking him for his help in a mental health call that we assisted back in early February. the officers were on scene, and Officer Bernhardson was very helpful in getting that individual to agree to go to the hospital and ultimately get help. So they just wanted to thank him for what he was able to do that night. And then the last commendation is for officers Miller and Redmond. And this is for an incident that occurred back in January. The person who wanted just to thank them, they had struck a deer that night. Officers Miller and Redmond had responded to the call for service. Their presence and just the way they were, they calmed and assured the driver. They made sure that they were able to get home safely, and were helpful in getting them the police report that they needed. And this person just wanted to drop a note saying thank you. Wanted to thank them for everything that they did that night. If there's any questions about any of those commendations.
Those are some nice commendations.
Yes, thank you. So we had one call for service that involved use of force. This was an incident that occurred back on February 5th, 2022, about 10:30 in the morning. The subject in question is a 28-year-old male, approximately 5'9" tall, 170 pounds, medium build, white, non-Hispanic. This was a mental health call. We had received numerous calls about this individual being on Main Street, yelling, banging on businesses, and unclothed. It was a very cold day that day. The officers had gone down. They were familiar with this individual. It was someone we had dealt with previously. We had made previous attempts to connect them with mobile mental health and other mental health resources to no avail. And in this particular case, the officers determined that this person was in crisis, obviously a danger to themselves given the weather conditions. And then so they took this person into custody on an involuntary mental health seizure, and needed to use a standing arm bar in order to handcuff this individual and get them into the ambulance. So there are two reports for this incident because there were two officers on scene. One of the officers used a standing arm bar while the other applied the handcuffs to the left arm first, and then they did the same on the other arm. And so, as I said, there's two reports because both officers were involved. Based upon the review of this matter, both officers' actions were within department policy and consistent with training. The individual, as I said, was transported to the hospital, and no criminal charges, were filed for this incident. Any questions?
Ignorance on it, but do you mind describing what a standing arm bar is?
It's in this particular case, it's if the individual was standing up and they end up locking, securing their arm in an arm bar so that they can't move it. And it afforded the other officer the opportunity to handcuff it. It's an arm restraint. And so then once they were able to secure the handcuffs on the one arm, then the officer applied that same technique to the other arm, and was it so that they could secure that arm in a handcuff as well. It's in essence, you're coming up and underneath the arm and you're locking it in so that they can't move that arm away. And it gives that other officer the opportunity to place cuffs on them.
All right, is that all for the police?
I mean, the only thing I would just want to point out in terms of the training report, just it's called the attention of the commission. Officers Fazio and Childs have begun phase 1 of our field training program. They're doing well. And officers Miller and Snyder, I know this says that they entered phase 2. They're actually on the home stretch and should be completing their field training within the next couple weeks and be out on their own and operational by themselves, which is great. So we're excited about that. And then I think that was it in terms of that.
And, we have an executive session tonight. We have an executive session on the agenda for the town board, but we don't have any, I'm not sure if that was put on the town board or the police commission. Were we supposed to have an executive session in the police commission tonight? Or not? I'm just,
I was, oh,
in the town, I want to make sure it didn't get on the wrong agenda.
I saw that and I was hoping that could be something we have in the police commission. There are a couple of issues that I did want to discuss in executive session related to personnel with the police commission, if that's
So I
possible.
think it ended up on the town board agenda, but if we're done with the monthly report, then we can go into executive session. If you need to talk, because I remember we talked about, you said you wanted to talk in executive session with us. So if that's all we have for the report, we have 25 minutes before the town board starts. So I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session. And it may be difficult for me to try to figure all this tech out now, but we can, I'm
Do our
going to
best.
join set up a breakout room and we'll try to do all of this right now, if that's okay. Do I have a second for my motion to go into executive session to discuss matters of personnel and to invite the chief?
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Okay, give me a minute here. Let's see, breakout rooms. Yeah, I was doing it wrong. See.
We have to manually do it.
No. Okay, so All right, everybody, we're trying to get back. All right. So I'd like to make a motion to come out of executive session. No action is being taken.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And with that, I would like to make a motion to adjourn the police commission meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And so I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing to add a new chapter 10, electric assist bicycles, to the code of the town of New Paltz.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And if anyone would like to make a comment on adding this new chapter on electric assist bicycles to the code of the town of New Paltz, raise your hand. I will also just kind of give everyone a brief summary of this. Janelle, I see your hand. I'll call on you in a minute, just so everyone's aware what we're doing. This is building on the state passed a law allowing electric assist bicycles. Currently, under the state law, they're only allowed on roads where the speed limit is less than 30 miles per hour, unless the municipality passes a law saying that electric assist bicycles are allowed anywhere normal bicycles are allowed. So, you can ride your bike from the village up to ShopRite on the street, but you cannot ride your electric assist bike from the village up to ShopRite on the street, because at some point in there, the speed limit is above 35 miles per hour. And most streets in town, the speed limit is above 35 miles per hour. So we are basically a very short law that just says, if you can ride your bike somewhere, you can ride the electric assist bike in the same place. It doesn't mean you can ride it on the highway, because bikes are not allowed on the highway. You cannot ride it on the sidewalk, because technically bicycles are not allowed on the sidewalk. That's basically this law. And with that, Janelle, I'm sorry, but you can please please speak. And I think I've lowered your, go ahead, Janelle.
Okay, my name is Janelle Piotr, and I'm a resident of the town of New Paltz. I come to you to this public hearing tonight as a lifelong cyclist, your volunteer Climate Smart coordinator, and a member of the Bicycle Pedestrian Committee. I'm very much in support of the resolution on the table tonight that adds a new chapter 10, electric assist bicycles, to the code of the town of New Paltz. My home is up here on Mountain Rest Road, which there's not much resting to be had on Mountain Rest Road as you go up. It's a very steep hill, and I have significant knee issues that prevented me from bicycling into town because I couldn't manage the climb back home up the hill to return home. My bicycle had thus become a source of recreation on trails, but not of transportation. Then several years ago, I bought an electric mountain bike, and it transformed my ability to use my bicycle as transportation. Suddenly I had the capability, with the assist of an electric bike, to climb Mountain Rest Road and to bicycle further than I ever could have had with a conventional bicycle. Many of us in the community bought an electric bike because age and health issues prevent us from being able to ride as we once had. To deny us the legal right to ride on the road is akin to denying someone who has a wheelchair from using it on the sidewalk. So I was shocked and really surprised to learn that there even was a rule or law preventing me from legally riding our roads. I also come to you tonight as your climate smart coordinator. And I have to tell you, the top 3 largest contributors to our greenhouse gas emissions inventory was number 1, transportation. Number 2, transportation. And you guessed it, number 3, transportation. Shouldn't we be doing everything we can to encourage people to get out of their cars and ride their bicycle? Shouldn't we be encouraging people to consider alternative ways of running errands rather than jumping in their car and driving a few miles? Shouldn't we be encouraging even people who have health issues and are, knee issues to get an electric bike and still be able to use that as a form of transportation? Don't we want to improve the health of our community by encouraging exercise and improving air quality by making alternatives to driving a car a real option? So I applaud you as the town board for voting yes tonight to pass this resolution to adopt the local law entitled "A Local Law to Amend the Code of the Town of New Paltz to add a new Chapter 10 electric assist bicycle to the code of the Town of New Paltz." Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for saying everything that I could have even imagined. Thank you very much for that. It captures everything I was hoping to get across. So I should have let you speak first. I apologize.
Yeah, thank you, Joe.
Anyone else has any comments? If not, we will leave this hearing open, at least for the rest of this meeting. And in case someone comes on, because it's only 7:38. But if no one has anything to say now, we'll kind of move on to the, I know on the agenda, we have not opened the town board meeting yet, but let's leave this public hearing open. And I'd like to make a motion to open the town board meeting for March 17th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And see, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda. I have some amendments to make. I would like to add, I know the first item, I would like to have the interviews for the police commission. And then on item 10F, I would like to add an end date of May 21st, 2022. I have no end date on there right now, but that's all I have. If anyone else has any changes?
I have one addition as well, as I just want to have a very brief conversation on amending our accessory apartment laws as well.
Okay. And let's see if that, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. And any announcements? If not, I would like to open it up for public input. If anyone has any comments, please raise your hand. Try to keep it to 3 minutes. And with that, I see Mr. Londa, you have a comment you'd like to make.
Yes, I do have a comment. I wanted to propose an amendment to add in the approval of the resolution that was not accomplished at the joint town and village meeting, unless it was subsequently covered in an offline approval process, Neil.
The board hasn't really had a chance to review the video yet from the last meeting, so we'll be doing that at a future meeting.
Does the board have all the materials that were previously sent?
I don't even know. So also,
This is from
this
the-
isn't your
this is-
fault on our end. We weren't notified of that joint meeting
Yeah.
in a very timely process, which is why we were unable to muster a quorum for that as well, which I
Yeah.
realize.
So we'll make sure that everyone has everything and we'll be discussing it hopefully at the next meeting. But, you know, we don't normally take agenda amendments from the public, and we really can't be voting on anything that was not.
You had proposed to take this up in this meeting, and I don't see it on the agenda, so I was just.
Yeah, we'll get to it. I apologize. Thanks. Edgar, do you have anything else you'd like to add? I don't want to cut you off, but are you all? If not, Edgar, you have a comment?
Okay, thank you. Now I am unmuted. I asked the question at the previous meeting of the police commission regarding acknowledgement of a recommendations that we wrote and delivered to all the town board members for consideration as questions from the community for the police commission interviews that you have. Was it received at least?
Edgar, I told you, we don't go back and forth with this. So you can ask us questions, but we're not going to go back and forth.
Okay,
So-
but you will respond somehow. That's what I need to know.
Yeah, do you have a comment?
No, just I'd like a response to that at some point, okay, at least as a courtesy.
I
And I
we
do,
were-
I do have a comment. I do
We
have
got your email, Edgar. Thank you.
Okay, so I do have a comment, okay? I like to thank Mr. Chris Walks, Superintendent of Highways, for starting the spring process of filling the potholes in the town of New Paltz, and for him quickly coming out to Willie Road where I live to make some repairs there several months ago. But more important was his candid and detailed presentation 2 weeks ago at your meeting of the financial status of his department and the prospect of not repaving many town roads for a long time to come. I do not mean potholes, but the inability to have an infrastructure maintenance program for all of our roads. Obviously, this is not his fault, but the poor capital improvement plan of the town board dating about 5 years ago. The issue is the poor decisions of the previous board, of which some members still are present. The board determined that the police department of the town that has low crime and the firehouse with limited fire calls were more important than long-term plan to repave our roads, to build a new town hall, or to repair the teen scene. Obviously, he reported that the money was cut from the budget of approximately $240,000. And also, I will need to learn about our expenses for the firehouse. And the cut of $240,000 is very similar to the $300,000 a year debt service that the town of New Paltz for many years to come has to pay for the new police department. And so I ask that at some point you report to the town, to the community, what the plans are to properly fund the highway department so that we can maintain our roads. As he indicated at the meeting, the potholes are a temporary measure. The last time they talked about having like dirt roads, gravel roads in the town of New Paltz. And we believe that the kind of taxes that we pay, that we are entitled to the best possible roads. Thank you. And I hope and expect that you will address this publicly soon.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? If not, I'd like to, I think Liz, if you're here, I think you are, I'm gonna make you a co-host and I'm not sure, or Essie, I apologize. Liz, I apologize. Essie, do you want to do the police commission interviews first?
Sure, I think that's a good idea. Thank you.
Sorry about that. We
No,
changed
it's
it.
fine.
Liz, I apologize. We'll get to you soon. So Essie, I'll hand it over to you.
Yes, thank you, Liz. I'm sorry about that. And for everyone who was waiting, thank you for waiting. If you're here to interview for Police Commission. So if you are here to interview, if you can raise your Zoom hand, and we will give you the opportunity to address the board and the public and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you are qualified to be on Police Commission and why you want to serve on the Police Commission as well.
Okay, Janice Butcher, raising your hand. I'm going to ask you to unmute. And I will hand it over to you. And please, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Hello. My name is Janice Butcher. I am I've been a member of the New Paltz community for the past 32 years. I've been involved with the town and school sports as a coach, as a team mom. Been a member of Concerned Parents, Sisters of Sojourn Committee, the First World Reunion for alumni of the SUNY New Paltz. I am a SUNY New Paltz graduate. I've raised 2 male children in the New Paltz district. My oldest son.
You got muted there. And we've lost you. Hold on, you're muted.
Okay.
There you
There
are.
you go.
Yes, please.
Okay. I apologize for that. So I've raised 2 children, male boys in the school district. And one of the reasons that I feel I could be a good person on the committee, I'm going to just tell you a little story about one day my oldest son was stopped. He was probably about 14 and by an officer of New Paltz and told him he fit the description of someone who had just stolen something out of the store. Okay. Now, at that point, I realized my family was not exempt from being profiled. Now, my children never have a problem with any police in the district, but it was a parent from one of my football teams that actually interrupted the situation because she said, I know this child, and came over and spoke to the police officer, and then she gave me a call. It wasn't my son. He was also working with a young man who happened to have been, I think the family owns the Indian restaurant at that time. So now he's 19, driving me from Poughkeepsie. He's driving really cautiously, and I'm going, well, he's 27 now, but I mean at the time with the story. And I'm asking him, why? Ron, why are you driving so cautiously? He responded to me. He said, Mom, don't you realize I'm a Black man in America? And for me, this was very heart-wrenching. I never realized the effect that police had on my child dealing with the situations of the world. So my youngest son now, he works for Reno's, he delivers, and my concerns for his welfare and driving in the town, I have concerns. So although I have taught them to respect authority, I cannot be blind that they are young and Black, and because of the color of their skin, they can be targeted. So I never taught my sons to be afraid of the police because I was a partner with officers from the New York State Police Department, Kingston Police Department, Ulster Sheriff's Department, and the New Paltz Department when I worked as an investigator for the Ulster County Domestic Violence Unit. So imagine to my surprise hearing my son tell me I'm Black in America. I never would have thought that he would have an issue. So I have been on both sides of the spectrum. I've been stopped by the cops saying my tail light was out, asking me to blow in a breathalyzer. I told them I wasn't drinking, asked me to blow harder, blow again. Nothing came about because I wasn't drinking. But I was dealing with that because my tail light wasn't out when I got back home and checked it. So I realized then my possibility that I got stopped, not because I was doing anything wrong, but because they thought they can find something. And that was alarming for me. So even though I kept calm during that time, I waited for the officer to check my license and my license plate, I didn't feel threatened. Once I spoke with them and asked them why they stopped me, and they told me it was my tail light, I looked down and the light was not out. So with my experience as a shop steward of PEF, I was a shop steward of PEF. And if anyone know what PEF is, it's the union. And a shop steward does a lot of negotiating. When there's a wrong, you may do some arbitration. So I believe I will be a voice of reason, and I can be unbiased with regards to assisting the chief of police when needed, with suggestions with regards to the operation of the department. So that is my reasoning for wanting to be a part of the police commission.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for letting me.
So I mean, it sounds like you have also, in addition to lived experiences, it sounds like you have a lot of experience from the jobs that you've had, you know. And I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about that. You know, we've seen your letter today. We got it. And if you want to talk a little bit about that, give us, you know, a bit of your background, because I think it's a pretty impressive background.
Okay. My resume that I sent you just tells you some of the things I've done in my professional world. So I worked with the Department of Social Services for a couple of years as a caseworker and investigator for domestic violence unit. I did a lot of sex abuse and, of course, domestic violence issues. We did a lot of removals. I worked hand in hand with the state police, as I said, like Investigator McCoy, David Dugakin, Allen, one of the police officers, Peter. So I worked hand in hand with police officers. I did investigations. I went to court. I had to do removals. And I had to be unbiased with all of those things, because even though I may have an idea that what may have happened, I had to listen to the people that were talking and find out the truth. I cannot go on my opinion. So that's one of the things I've done. I've also was an eligibility specialist with helping Medicaid and the HEAP program. I was a family educator with St. Agatha's, helping parents parent their kids. And to say that, as a parent educator, one of the coaches of the football team actually said to me that I needed to teach a class because he thought my boys were one of the best boys, some of the best boys he's ever coached. So that being said, I demand respect, even though we don't see a lot of that now. I don't have problems with young children. A lot of times they still respect me, and it's all done in love. So I think a lot of things that we do in life, we have to show some compassion, be firm, and show love. So that's how the family educator position came about. Now, as a labor service representative, that is my present position, and I work helping people find jobs, assisting with resumes, doing workshops, resume workshops. I've helped with the Trade Act, where people lose their jobs to overseas because companies put their work overseas, and now the people are without work. There's a program called the Trade Act. I actually worked hand in hand helping people reacclimate their careers, to find out other things that they can do, assess their skills and abilities. So those are things that I have done in my life. And now, in the later years, I'm about to open up a store in New Paltz. So I'm gonna be a business owner in addition to my past. So I believe being a part of the community is very important. So those are some of the things that I've done
What's your
in my
business, sir?
life.
You don't mind me asking.
My business? Oh,
Yeah.
my parent company is called Brains and Beauty. Initially, the company had started to motivate young women that they are fearfully and wonderfully made, that they're beautiful just because they are. They don't have to dress in a certain way. So that's the company itself, to help with skills, find a job, help with resumes, some self-worth. Because a lot of young people at this point, we have a lot of suicidal people with suicidal tendencies. Depression has set in, and a lot of it is because they do not know who they are as a person. So that is what Brains and Beauty is about. But Brains and Beauty is the parent company. The store itself is going to be JB's Beauty Supply. It's a beauty supply store. So it gives me an avenue to be able to encourage people once they come into the store.
Thank you. Do any other board members have any questions, comments? Or do you have any questions for us that, that we can answer anything? I know we mentioned that we're going to be asking each applicant to fill out some questions. If you're not comfortable writing those responses, we're happy to work with you if you want to submit them some other way based on a comment that we had earlier tonight. But
I looked up the local law, and I have all my questions have been answered just through reading the police commission.
Awesome.
It was a pleasure listening to you talk. Thank you so much for your interest. I look forward to hearing more from you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Esty, I'm sorry, you're in charge of this. I keep stepping in. I'm just used to running these meetings, but I don't want to
No,
overstep.
it's fine. This is certainly a collaborative effort, and I thank you, Janice. And I didn't see any other hands. Was there anyone else on who wanted to interview for the police commission? If so, please raise your hand or unmute yourself.
If not, we'll say it one more time. We are still encouraging people to, if there's any interest in this, please feel free to attend one of our meetings. We want to make sure that everyone who's interested has an opportunity. It's wide open. We want anyone who has any interest, even just if you have questions, please come to the meeting. We want it to be open to anyone. So we're going to keep encouraging this for a little while and keep doing this. So thanks. If there are no more questions, no more, Janice, you want to say something else? You raised your hand again.
I did. I just want to find out, how are these questions going to be posed to me?
We can email them to you.
Yes, I'm planning on sending them to everyone who has interviewed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Thanks, Janice.
And with that, my daughter's going to be jealous that I'm not Zooming, that she can't jump in here. So with that, Liz, thank you for waiting. I appreciate it. And we'll make you a co-host, and let me know who else is going to be a co-host, and then you'll be able to share your screen. And so the next item on the agenda is you should be able to unmute yourself, Liz.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Thanks
Who
so
else?
much for having us. Hunter and Michael, my business partners, are both here. And Hunter's going to be doing the presentation, and Michael is going to move us through the slides.
Michael. Okay. Okay, you guys, I've made you co-hosts, so you should be able to share the screen, and I will hand it over to you. You're muted right now. Do you want to be unmuted? I think you can just unmute yourself. There you go. And make sure.
Oops. Need 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay, how's that?
Yeah, Liz is muted. I don't if she wants to be muted or not, but I've asked her to unmute. And people should be able to unmute themselves. So if Liz, if you're okay, you're good to go. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Hello, thanks for allowing us to present tonight. We're excited for this project and all of its possibilities for growth. As a company, Bloom is deeply committed to the environment, and this collaborative project is perfect for you. In the fall of 2019, with the help of volunteers, we planted wildflower seeds in a 4-foot wide swath running along the 1,115-foot long Empire State Trail path that runs between North Ohioville Road and the area across from the thruway ramp. These wildflowers did pretty well, considering they were planted just before the pandemic hit and the world shut down. As time has passed, we have observed that the extremely invasive and hard to manage plant called mugwort has taken hold. It is primarily taken hold in the ditches alongside the trail, but it's generally present throughout and spreading. As any of you have experienced in your garden, this plant takes a lot of management to control. Bloom plans to schedule this work day the first Wednesday of every month, April through October, weather permitting. We are going to stay consistent with our day each month so that we can invite volunteers to join us. This will be an opportunity for people to pitch in and learn about identifying and managing invasive species and the importance of pollinator plants, native plants, and habitat enhancements. We also intend to develop signs to install in each area to engage the public in this ongoing project. We will include educational content along with ways to incorporate this type of habitat in their own yards. Each spring, we would like to request a small budget amount from the town for seeds and plants to bring into the area that we're working on that year. This will allow us to regularly maintain these plants during their most fragile establishment time. Somewhere in the ballpark of $1,000 annually would go a very long way in plants. Thanks so much for allowing us to present this to the board and town tonight. We are excited about this 5-year project and establishing another area for people to learn about pollinator species, our native plants, and the importance of habitat establishment for our ecosystem. We are here tonight to request that the board commits to the following. 1 town employee will go once per month, April through October, and weed whack the mugwort. We are happy to work with your staff to identify the mugwort on each site workday if that's helpful. Add the monthly volunteer day to the town calendar. Permission to install our signs as we develop them after town approval. And finally, to dedicate a small amount in the budget for plants for the next 5 years. That's
Okay, so for the employee, how much time do you think it will take to take the mugwort out?
Hunter, you want to take it or you want me to?
Yeah, so from the town you're asking, right?
Yeah, I mean, so like the idea behind all of this is we do recognize there's going to be some short-term labor requirements. I mean, one of the reasons we're interested in doing this is that when the trail went in, we had to commit to like mow and plow. The state required that, but we're hoping to not mow. And So the goal is to reduce the amount of labor long-term for
Yeah.
along the trail and plant these, it's like a 2-for-1. We reduce the labor, and then eventually we have, good habitat and pollinator gardens, and also very little maintenance.
Sure.
And I think that's, and we appreciate this, but we know there's going to be some initial labor, and because there is, right, to kind of set it up to maintain itself. But I'm just wondering, is it a full day every month, or, half a day, just roughly, so we can kind of
Yeah.
plan for that? Or does it start out a lot and then it kind of goes down as you've kind of addressed it?
Yeah, I think
Could
over
we-
time, I'm sorry. I think over time that,
I'm just wondering if we could get a bunch of volunteers the first time out there and do a lot of the work, and if we could have an employee go by and, maybe kind of just kind of edge it along a little bit, just trying to plan here. Sorry.
yeah, I think that the probably the best way would be to plan on the day, and with a great, if we're able to have the set day and have it in the public's eye, and we can get more volunteers, then I think we can probably cut that day down over time quickly. We certainly want to get it from the get-go, and we don't want to sleep on it where we put 1-2 years of work into it, and then we tend to fade away from it, and then the problem comes back. So I would say we probably plan on a day for that person. It could be less. Depends who shows up that day. So, but I think we're planning.
We only have, we only have 2 employees
Okay.
in the whole department, right? And so that's why I'm wondering. So, we have 2 buildings and grounds employees. And, we have summer help sometimes that can help, but right now to commit 1 person, that's a lot. And so I'm just trying to, is there a way that we could maybe, get this started and have them go by once in a while, but maybe not commit a whole day? Also, we're not in charge of buildings and grounds either, so I'm not sure we can do that. That's why I wasn't, I guess I missed the part that we had to commit a person to this. Sorry if I'm being
This
difficult.
would be a person for once a month. So we would want that person to go on a stagger with us, so that every 2 weeks the mugwort's being knocked down. Our initial visit for the first week in April is going to take down all that woody growth and take down the bulk of it. And so all follow-up visits, they'll be cutting, not woody growth, which will go a lot faster. And we do think that over time, this is going to come down dramatically. But I do think it's really important to cut back on the photosynthesis of the mugwort to be able to keep it under control, because it's a very aggressive plant and it spreads through roots and also through seeds. So unless it's really managed intensely right out the gate, it wins the battle. But I do think that an aggressive initial out the gate is what's going to stop it from spreading and keep it at bay.
Okay.
I'd love to ask a question if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just wondering about, so volunteers are going to pull some of the mugwort? I'm just not sure I understand the cutting versus the pulling.
So what we've done is we've kind of designated 5 different areas. We've broken up the 1,100, give or takes, linear feet along the trail into 5 different sections. And they're roughly broken up from utility pole to utility pole, the few extra feet on one side, a few extra feet on another, and broken that up into a 5-year plan. And the plan is that Bloom works in crews of 3 people. And so 3 people plus myself are going to come on a day, and 2 of those people who will be dedicated for the day will work from, that year, whatever we've designated as that year. So for this year, it would be the beginning to, I believe it's the 2nd utility pole. and hand pull the mugwort that's in that area
Mhm.
so that we're really just actually ripping it out.
Mhm.
And the third person will go through and will weed whack the whole rest of the area for the rest of the day. And then when they're done, they'll join and come and tend that first section. So that's, let's say that's the first Wednesday of every month. Then what we'd like from the town is the third Wednesday, or give or take, the third week of that month, coming through and weed whacking only the mugwort. You know, that's the only thing to weed whack would be those spots. And I'd be happy to come and meet and make sure that it's identified and very clear, whoever's doing that weed whacking. And then we'd come back the following, the first Wednesday of that next month, and do that very same thing to really starve out the mugwort and encourage all the good pollinator plants.
Wait,
I'm just wondering, could we also maybe, if we could get a volunteer to do that instead of a town employee, would that also work? Like if we had someone that was committed to weed whack once a month to all the mugwort.
Oh, absolutely. It's just about the mugwort. It's not about who's paying for it.
Yeah.
It's really about just knocking it back.
We at Millbrook Preserve, there is a person who has a weed whacker and has offered to do some weed whacking for us, so I can see if they might come do that. You know, they'd want to. I'd want to just be able to talk with you a little bit more, maybe about the time commitment that you'd want. I know you're saying once a month, but for how many months do we imagine? And is there like a season? Obviously, probably in fall you can stop because it stops growing, right? Or at
Yeah,
the
so
late
it
fall.
would be April through October.
Right.
And there are times in the heat of summer when it gets very dry that things kind of stop growing. But that's like a great time to cut back an invasive plant that you don't want to thrive. It's a wonderful time for that, because it really hits them pretty hard, really, is effective at, knocking them back. So maybe a combination of the volunteer with the town could work really well, maybe in every other. And I also think that the time commitment on that day for the month will become a lot more clear after we see that first day. So the first day that we go through is going to be a lot of labor because it's all woody and it's 5 foot tall. But all the follow-up visits, after we see that very first one, we'll know, oh, look, they did that in 2 hours, or wow, that took the better part of a day. And that can be, set up as our expectation for the rest of the season. And then after October, there's not going to be much growing that's worth worrying about after that. So it'd be April through October.
Can I ask
Yeah.
another question, Liz? Sorry. So
What's that?
you were saying that there's something like 1,100 linear feet,
Yes.
and you broke it up into 5, and you said that we can first. You're going to attack pulling the first sort of section, while the rest of the other 4 sections get weed whacked. Is that right?
Just the mugwort in those sections.
Okay.
But yes,
you
we
can
would
weed
just
whack
be
something that's pretty
monitoring any
woody.
other invasives, but really just trying to make sure that the mugwort doesn't spread and take over.
So can it be weed whacked when it's woody and 5 foot tall? Is that?
I don't know, Hunter. What do you think? It's probably a hand.
We're trying to stay away from gas-powered weed whackers and use electric ones. And with that, we really need to get to them before they become too woody when they're smaller.
Great. Yeah.
But it's definitely takes longer and it's a more lengthy process once it becomes 5 foot tall, and when it's smaller, it tends to be softer, the plant.
Yeah. Well, count me in. All right.
All
I'm
right.
excited to
Cool.
help with this. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically after this big first day, if everything goes to plan, I don't expect there to be any more woody 5 foot tall mugwort in that space ever again.
Great. Yeah, I mean, before the mugwort took over, it was looking really nice.
I know
With,
there was so much rudbeckia blooming. It was really beautiful.
And, you know, just so, this is right when everyone comes off the thruway, so this is what's welcoming people to New Paltz, so. Yeah, no, I think we should, let's try to move forward with this. I mean, I'm in favor of it. I'm sure we can work something out, I think we should try to get volunteers out there. And then we'll see what happens after that. But,
So you have a town calendar that that you would be willing to post, you know, first Wednesday of every month, and
Yep.
That would be really great if we could get on there.
yeah, we can put that
because
on the
we'll be
calendar, and
welcoming
we can
people.
also, you know, put it on the town's website and the town's like Facebook, social media page to kind of get volunteers out there. I mean, I remember when we did the first planting, I mean, we probably had 15, 20 people there.
Yeah, we did. We had a really great turnout, and I've been speaking to the New Paltz Climate Action Coalition, and they're all excited to come and volunteer as well. They've been really supportive of it.
Great.
What time, Liz, would it be? I actually, on Wednesdays in the Millbrook Preserve, I have something called Weedy Wednesdays where we take out invasives. So we have a small crew, and we don't, you know, we don't want to conflict at all. And I might even just try to do both, or, you know, have people go between. We only do an hour every Wednesday when it's weather permitting. So,
That
but
was
what
great.
time would it be?
We're going to be there from about, 8 to 4.
Wow,
Just about,
yeah,
with lunch.
okay. That sounds great. I'll do my best to get you some people too.
That would be great. We do
Thank you.
Wednesdays.
They're really good at identifying too. the
Oh,
crew.
cool. Yeah, we also want to monitor the space for other invasives and be able to teach people what to look out for and what to encourage, and what to celebrate is, popping in there. So I think it's kind of like a fun plant ID kind of thing for volunteers as well to kind of learn, because then they can take that back to their own, natural areas at their own properties, and maybe something they were looking at in a different way can be transformed for them into an important native plant.
All right. Well, we appreciate Bloom volunteering to help us out with this. So, I mean, I think, like I said, in the past, we didn't acknowledge that it was Bloom, but I do want to make sure that everyone is aware that you're committing a lot of resources to this, and I want to thank you for doing that.
Thanks, Neil. We're happy to do it.
Thanks, guys.
And so we'll just jump down to number 7 on the agenda. Actually, number 6 and 7. So, we have, your request was for, I think $827 or something for some seeds, some plantings, some tubes, because we're also buying maybe 120 different trees from the New York State Nursery. And so, we have some money in a tree fund that we have $132.50 in a dedicated tree trust reserve that we can use to pay for the trees. And then, we have money that we've budgeted for like trail maintenance. And we also have some money, I think, that's in a Clean Energy Communities grant award that we got for a bunch of different activities that we've done. So between the 3 of those, I'd like to make a motion to dedicate $132.50 from the tree trust reserve and to satisfy invoice number 15213 to purchase trees from the New York State DEC Saratoga Tree Nursery. And then the other motion is to authorize an additional expenditure not to exceed $850 for this pollinator project. And so, any seconds, discussions?
I'll second it.
All in, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Liz,
Thank you so much, Liz.
looking forward to working with you guys.
Thank you all
Thank
so
you.
much. We're really excited for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See, and you guys are done. We can unshare the screen. We'll get back to item number number 3 is this is a resolution urging New York State Senate and Assembly to pass the Crash Victims' Rights and Safety Act. This was sent to us by someone who has been in a crash. And yeah, I think there are a lot of good ideas in there. One of them is that it allows municipalities to lower speed limits, create complete streets, protect vulnerable road users, and support those personally impacted by road crashes. We have this resolution on the website. It's been up there for a couple of days. I'd like to make a resolution to pass this resolution and send it to the State Assembly and Senate.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 4 is we're currently searching for a part-time assessor's aide. In the meantime, while we're searching for this person, the assessor has requested that Diane Lee, who is currently employed part-time by the town, if she could fill that position. So the motion is to authorize hiring Diane Lee on a temporary basis to fill a part-time vacancy in the assessor's office beginning March 21st, 2022 at a rate of $15.69 per hour.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 5 is a motion to authorize payment of application number 1, Merit Construction, Phase 3 backup water supply. This is for the Water District 5 project for the DEP is paying for to pay one of the contractors.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Number 8 is Climate Action Council's draft scoping plan. I sent this around. The plan serves as an initial framework for how New York State is going to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, increase renewable energy, ensure climate justice. This letter is urging the New York State Climate Action Council to add at least one public hearing for the Mid-Hudson region. Right now, there are no public hearings within the Mid-Hudson. You got to go to Albany. There are some virtual hearings, but we're asking that they have one hearing in the Mid-Hudson for, I think our area of the state is pretty active, and I think we would have a lot of good feedback for them. So this is just a resolution authorizing me to sign on behalf of the town board and to urging them to have a public hearing in the Mid-Hudson.
I'll second.
All in, any discussion? All in favor?
There is a hand
Aye.
raised.
I'm sorry,
Somebody had their hand raised.
No, I'm not.
I don't see it.
It's Joseph Londa. It's not his virtual hand. It's his, oh, now it's up.
We don't, I'm sorry, Mr. London, we don't, we do public comment, but we don't go back and forth during the meeting. I apologize. But that's not how we run the meeting. So we don't do it that way. So I apologize for not taking your comment. This is a meeting of the board. So the number 9, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Number 9 is we have an invoice from Will Scott, number 8472941. Kind of sent the emails back. The history behind this is that everyone knows we're in rented trailers. When we first moved in, the doors were not installed correctly. They broke. The original people that we were renting the trailers from, they replaced them. They did not do a good job. They broke again. In in there somewhere that company was bought by another firm. We then had the doors fixed based on the recommendation of the first trailer owners, and they finally got fixed. But the people who bought them are now billing us $4,000 to have the doors fixed. And we're saying, we never were told that it was going to cost us $4,000. We were told by their first owners that it was their responsibility and they would pay to fix them. But the second company is now saying, you owe us $4,000, and they want us to pay. They said, well, how about $3,000? We'll take $1,000 off. We don't feel as if it's our responsibility to pay it all. But, I want the board's permission to negotiate with them and say, well, I don't think I want the authority. Let me negotiate with them saying, I would like to reject their initial offer of, letting us pay $3,000 instead of $4,000, and negotiate with them and say, we don't think we owe even anything. But, I told them I'll bring it to the board if people want to pay the $3,000, but I would like to have your permission to negotiate with them, and I'll bring back the best deal that I can get and see what they say.
I like the idea of negotiating.
Fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you're well within your role as supervisor to do that, but I appreciate you notifying us about it.
Yeah. Well, I guess my thing is, can I respond to them saying that we as a board have rejected their offer of paying $3,000 instead of $1,000, but that we are willing to negotiate with them?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to approve and authorize items 10A through 10G on the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 11 is motion to accept the resignation of Terrence Yant as a full-time police officer and approve his remaining as part-time police officer effective at the end of tour, March 20th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, aye.
We're going to miss you, Officer Yant.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service, and we will miss you, and we look forward to having you as a part-time officer, and we hope that you decide, like, you know what, the grass is not greener anywhere else, and I'm going to stay in New Paltz, but we'll see what happens. So all in favor, right?
Yeah.
Aye. Motion to approve the March warrant in the amount of $823,801.76.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We're not going into executive session. We did that for the police commission. And a discussion about accessory apartment laws.
Yeah, I wanted to be brief, and I apologize for not getting this in sooner to be on the agenda, but a few months back in the state budget, they were looking at adjusting how people can have accessory apartments in their homes. And this is something that I certainly, and the supervisor and I talked about, were interested in doing locally in New Paltz, but we had thought that there was a potential that would happen as a statewide initiative. It's become clear relatively recently that will not happen. So we don't have a draft law yet, but I kind of just wanted to start the conversation with my colleagues and then also just kind of tell the public that I think that this is a real opportunity for us as we talk about some of the housing issues we have within our own community. This, I think, would both add to housing stock, but also really importantly would allow for multi-generational housing as well, which I think is a really critical thing for us to look at. And I don't think that we talk about very often as well too. I think in the past, people were scared of accessory apartments because how we thought that might also, no one on the board currently, but how that would look with the student population that we have as well. But I think that there's a number of essential and positive things that can be brought to our community if we relook at that law and see how we can make that grow in a safe and responsible way as well too. So I don't know if anyone has any specific strong thoughts on that. And I realize I have not given you all a ton of notice on it, but certainly on my end, I'd like to just kind of engage our building department moving forward and see how we can look to adjust that law so that we can have an important conversation on that as well.
Yeah, no, so the state, they're not, I think it's going to happen at some point. We've had this discussion, we have affordability issues. We have, we need more housing, right? We have a housing crisis. And from everything I've read, people I've talked to, the county, this is one of the ideas that is put forward on the county's part from how towns can address these issues.
Yep.
And it's probably the quickest way to really address, all of these issues, because it can happen really fast. But what it does is, just so everyone's aware, you can add more people into the same area, right? So you're not sprawling, you're not creating, a big sprawly community. You're actually adding density, which is one of the things we want from from an environmental point. But it also lets you say you have a garage, right? And you want to add an apartment above that garage for maybe your kids who maybe don't want to live with you. And we've seen this during the pandemic, right? That families are kind of staying together more. Maybe they want to stay close, or maybe you want to move into that apartment and you want your kids to stay in the house, or your parents are retiring and they want to live closer to you and they'll be near your kids. And I know I'm taking this through my lens, but it's a way that you can keep multiple generations together, like Dan said, or say you want to have some extra income, right? You can then put an accessory apartment on your property and you can rent it out. Or, I think in the village, their laws, you could even use that as an Airbnb because you're still owner occupied for your house. So it's a way of, letting people, and I think one of the issues in the past, the accessory apartment laws were really written to control them. I think we want to make sure that we're not impeding them, right? And that we're using them to address what we know are real issues of affordability, the amount of housing. And so I think it's something that we need to do as a town. And, we said we were going to do it last year, but when the state said they were going to do this, we decided to hold off. The state, it's kind of complicated to do it on a whole statewide basis, but I think on a townwide basis, it's the right thing for us to look into this and how can we improve and increase accessory dwellings.
And the only other thing I want to just add to that as well is there's been a lot of conversation about tenants' rights as well too of late, which I think is super important. But I actually think that accessory apartments are a great example of where, when this goes right, like the ability that tenants have to be treated well, like more times than not, if you are an accessory apartment and you lose heat, the person who owns the house has also lost heat. If you don't have running water, that person doesn't have running water as well too. So I think the ability for a tenant, for someone who lives in an accessory apartment, to then get those kind of services, which we've talked more and more about their ability to do that, are far greater when it comes to accessory apartments. And more times than not, we're talking about an owner occupied scenario as well. We don't have a ton of examples of people who are through LLCs, owned residential homes, that also have accessory apartments too. And I think that that's really essential.
No, I think an important part, and we'll talk more about this, but I think the owner occupied aspect is an important part of the accessory apartments. Because I think you get a very different management style when it's the either the main house or the apartment is owner occupied. So that's, I think, my opinion going forward, but none of that's written in stone, but that's just a thought. But if the board is interested, we're going to keep talking about this, but Dan and we're going to work with Stacy and look at some of the other accessory apartment laws around. And we have a law on the books, but the goal is to relook at it, make sure it's not stopping anyone from doing this in an unrealistic manner. That's all I have to say. And
I had one other thing.
Yeah.
I'm going rogue. It's not on the
and then we got the e-bike. We'll go back to the
Oh,
e-bike
e-bike.
law. So if anyone has any comments about e-bike legislation, if not, last chance. I would like to make a motion to add um, a new chapter 10, electric assist bicycles to the code of the town of New Paltz.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Dan, you had something to add?
Super minor, it's more of a statement, but if someone on the board wants to tag along as well, I actually do want to just address the one public comment that was made regarding our previous meeting. And I want to just address it in the standpoint too, that I'm really happy we had that conversation because I think there were some really important things that came out of it. But I'm speaking for myself, that was information that I learned on the spot as well too. Our meetings are all in public. When we have budget hearings, those are in public. So if members of the public who also attend our meetings were unaware of that, I just want to note that we were as well too, because those were not conversations that transpired during budget times. And in addition, I appreciate the kind of history about the budget components of what we have done with the highway department. The reality is not every department, any department gets the budget request that they want. And kind of what was discussed was a budget change that happened in 2017. And then we learned at our last meeting about at least how the highway superintendent feels that that has created some ramifications to his budget 5 years later, which I'm happy we know now. I just wish that that had come up at other sessions as well. And, you know, it's a little bit of a different scenario, highway versus other departments we have, because the highway superintendent is an elected official. So we don't have a lot of say when it comes to how they operate that department or even personnel, unless there are kind of more extreme scenarios where we potentially would. So I just wanted to say from my end that I share those concerns that were brought to our meeting and that I am looking forward to in the next few weeks or months or whatever it takes to kind of work with Chris to better understand how we've gotten to that scenario and how we can collectively work to make that better.
All right, thanks. All right. Anything else anyone would like to add? If not, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Well, I'll get better at this electronic stuff, and at some point, looking forward to seeing you here. So goodbye.
Yep, thanks. Take care.
Thanks.
Yes.